Epic Gaming Night is made possible by the support of patrons like you. Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night podcast, a podcast about the stories and relationships board games create. I'm your host, Roy Candy, and with me as always is Rob.
Hello. Hello.
Hi. Hey, how's it going?
Hello. It's going good. How are you, sir?
Aw, snap.
You're all snap? What happened? Are you broken? Are you hurt? What happened?
I'm not hurt currently. I'm doing okay. I did get wrecked in a game of coup, like literally a few minutes ago, but it'll be fun.
Who beat you?
I was playing with a couple of people that I hadn't really played. I played with Jason, which is fine. I think it's okay because I knocked Jason out with the assassin. He tried to lie to me, and I called him in his lie, and he got knocked out of the game, which just made it worth it. But then an awesome lady, I didn't quite catch her name. She ended up knocking the rest of us out. So, but it was a lot of fun. That game's interesting because it's fun to lie and see how long you can get away with it.
Is coup like Resistance?
It's more along the lines of like Love Letter, but you can lie. It's kind of like you're trying to figure out what other people have. Like everybody has like hidden roles. You have several different things, and you're trying to gather like credits to be able to like assassinate the other players. But
Okay.
you can lie about what you have. You have all sorts of different things that can defend against other things, and you have different things that can like steal money from people and stuff like that. But at any time, you can claim to be any role you want to be. But
Have we played coup?
other people can call you out. I know I played it with Matt and Hector and them before, but I don't know if I've played it with you. We've played Masquerade.
I think we played Masquerade. Yeah.
Which has a little bit of the same feel where you can like lie and say you're this or that. But yeah, coup basically everybody just says they're the Duke until somebody's like, no, one of you guys are lying because the Duke gets to take extra money. It's always fun. We can at least get away with one Duke lie. But then after that, people are like, oh, wait, you lied? But yeah. Adam plays coup with his lunch coworkers. It was one of those games that the first time I had played it was right after Love Letter came out, and I'm like, oh man, I really like Love Letter like way better than this. But they're completely different games. Like there's room for both coup and Love Letter. And I feel like for most people, Love Letter's run its course, but I still like it. But yeah.
I've never played my copy of Love Letter, even though it's the Batman kind, but I played a couple versions of yours.
I still like Love Letter. I know a lot of other people are like, oh, it's overdone.
Oh, it's a cute little game.
That's pretty much it. It's like cute, extremely filler.
Hey, when you're tired and haven't slept and you're waiting in line at a con at what was it, 6:30 in the morning when we played Love Letter, Game of Thrones Love Letter at our first Gen Con together.
Yeah, that's fun. With random people.
Through the night. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, today we're going to be talking about combat mechanisms in games, our top 10 / top in not in any particular order. But before we do that, we can talk about some news type things.
Boom.
There were a couple things in the news which I thought were amazing. One thing I do want to remind people, if you're anywhere close to North Carolina Triad area, Recon is going to be going on March 30th and 31st.
Yes.
So I think Rob and Matt are going to try to have a showdown.
I'm going.
Oh,
it's next Saturday.
So
I'm
Rob's
going.
going to be there the 30th.
It's
so
happening. I do have to leave for 2 hours in the middle of it, from like 2:30 to like 4:30. But I'm excited, man. You know why I'm excited? I was talking to my wife earlier today. I was like, babe, I need to play a board game. I do a podcast about board games, and I need to play something. She was like, listen, don't you have that thing coming up at the end of the month where you can play your serious games? Right now, we just need to play fun party games because that's what I like. So I did actually play a game. But
was the head bobbing involved?
No. Oh, bro, sorry, I'm just excited. I'm excited to play because I already have one game of Brass locked down and lined up, and then I've got a game of Shadows over Camelot where I think we have 1 or 2 slots left. But anyway,
hit people
boom.
up.
Yeah, let me know. I'll play. I'll play with you. I'll play.
So I might play some games with Rob. So go to
Please.
Recon. It's definitely a blast, and you get to go visit my collection that's over there. So
That's right.
If you play one of the games out of the board game library, definitely shoot a picture and send it to me because I'll be like, I miss that game.
Okay, but then you shoot back that person a picture of your new board game library at your work, and then be like, you know what, I'm over it. Because
here's the thing: there's not a board game library at work. All of those games are in storage, so we have to wait until there's a con, and then I can be like, oh, look at all these games. So it's not quite as luxurious as you think. I can't just pick any game.
There's not like a wall where like, guys, tonight we're gonna play X.
I mean, I guess technically I could be like, Kenny, go get me this specific game, and it might happen, but I'm not Tom Vassell, so.
Do you have that power now? Like, what is this?
No, I'm just really good friends with Kenny, so I can just.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just kidding. But no, good stuff. Cool. Well, there's a few other news things. One thing I'm super stoked about, they are going to Gale Force 9 announced that they are reprinting Dune, aka the actual Dune, aka Rex, actually Dune, as the Dune theme. I've always been a really big fan of like Dune and Rex. I grew up.
Don't you have Dune?
I had Dune. I
right.
sold it in the Jack Vassell Memorial auction, and it made a lot of money for the auction, which is awesome. And now they're reprinting it, so I'm hoping that the quality, because I mean, I had the original copy of Dune, and my dad still has a copy of it, but it's just the fact that it's like super old at this point. It's like got chits for your tokens, and like the cards are basically paper, and it's worth like $200, or it was worth $200. I don't know if the value is going to drop at all. I guess it depends on how good this new version is or not. If the new version's not good, the old copy will be worth even more money. But yeah, I'm excited. I hope they do it up right, and I hope they make it look awesome because that game's fun. But yeah, so yeah, reprint of Dune. I'm definitely interested in getting a copy of it, even though I already have Rex. But I just like that game. As long as it looks good.
I think it'll be fine.
The other one, I don't know if you actually looked this up after I had mentioned it to you and Matt, Rob, but Tsukuyumi Full Moon Down is a new game from Gray Fox Games.
Yes.
This is like an area control game with like multiple different factions where you're all battling over this place, I guess, after like the moon is like crashing into something. I don't know. Something along those lines. I just know Sam likes it a ton, and the miniatures look crazy for this. The old game I heard was amazing, and it was just like all standees. Gray Fox Game is bringing this game to America, but they're also making it all miniatures instead of standees. So they're going to be launching a Kickstarter with all sorts of crazy miniatures and stuff like that. And Gray Fox Games normally does a really good job with their games, especially when it's like...
They actually really do make good games.
This game is already known to be good, so I'm excited to see what it looks like. And then I really want to play. I really want to play like Sam's version of it, so I know if I need to back the Kickstarter. But yeah, good stuff. I definitely keep your ears out for that because it should be launching super soon. It's got like...
it already launched.
Oh, did it already launch?
Yeah, it launched today on the 19th.
Oh, I didn't even pay attention. I've literally been working a backer. Oh, dag.
So it was funny that you didn't text me because typically when I back something, I'll get a text from you, Robert Newman just backed X.
I've been busy all day working. There it is. I literally looked it up, but
yeah,
didn't actually find it.
Yes,
this
sir.
This is the old one. Where's the new Kickstarter?
It should be right above it. It's not fully funded yet, but it's a little over $100,000 of its 150 goal. And I'm a backer, and it looks really cool. And one of the reasons why I backed it is actually because of these minis.
Yeah, they look crazy.
Yeah, and
why can't I find this Kickstarter?
It's not really depressing or anything, but it makes me wonder, like, why hasn't Gray Fox done more mini games? Like, I know they have their Wood Meeples, and I know they've done Run Fight or Die, and they're actually coming back out with Run Fight or Die, but that's like their only other really big mini game that I know of. But some of the stuff looks really cool, and some of the factions look really cool, and so that's really all I know at this point is the factions and the idea. But I know I like Gray Fox Games, and so I'm pumped for it. I'm pretty pumped.
Nice.
So there you go, sir.
I can't find the Kickstarter. They've got me blocked. I'm upset that I can't go to Gray Fox's website.
Start typing in Full Moon Down.
I'm looking up Full Moon Down. I guess I should just look at Full Moon. I was on Gray Fox Games website, and they don't have a link on their website to their Kickstarter. Come on. Okay. Anyway, we can carry on. I'm excited for the game. I think it'll be cool, and it's cool that you're getting it too, because it looks awesome. Oh, and
well, I mean,
they're 2/3 of the way towards being funded. So,
yep.
With 23
it's
days
been up
to
for
go.
a day, and so I think it'll get more and more hype and things like that. So,
these Mantis things look crazy.
You know what really got me is the new mech. It's one of the expansions, but the mech group that comes.
I think I saw a picture of that.
Bro, those guys look so good. I was like, man, these guys look really cool.
Do I like that they just have a giant faction of just bugs?
Children of the Lion, they're one of the other ones, and then there's Camphor Group or whatever, KAMPFGRUPPE03. But some of these mechs, I just thought, man, that'd be really cool to have a Sentinel.
Yeah, they look really cool.
You found it?
Yeah, they look good.
And now there's a whole Panda faction. And then they also had me a playmat. And so it's a double-sided playmat. I think that's pretty cool. And if their playmat's anything like the Champions of Midgard playmat, good, strong, great playmat. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited for it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Rob Kent is here just because you love him. You know what? I do love the fans of the show. I do love the fans of the show. And Kent is one of them, so I guess I love Kent. No, I do.
Kent's he has to redeem himself.
How?
I don't know. We'll figure out.
He's done something. But anyway, yeah. Tsukuyumi Full Moon Down. It looks pretty good. And then you got Throw Burrito for those that are wanting to throw some stuff with me. Just let me know. We still got 9 days left. Throw Burrito. That may be my hype game of the year, man. I didn't think I could get so excited about throwing stuff.
Just the game is all hype and no game.
No, I'm just so far out of the games I've backed this year, even over Tsukuyumi, I'm really, really excited for Throw Burrito.
That's so crazy.
I know it's so dumb. It's so dumb, but I'm really excited to just chunk a burrito at somebody. It's like, whoop-ah!
What we should do is just play it with real burritos.
The obesity in me comes out, and I'm just like, why? I can eat this.
You're like, I'm okay with throwing fake burritos, but don't ruin real burritos.
Yeah, don't waste food.
That's just wasteful.
Anyway.
Nice. Well, I guess we can get into what we've been playing.
So I got something because of you. I bought a game, and I played it with my family, and it's all your fault.
Uh-oh.
I bought Spikey Dastards.
Oh, no.
And my daughter's actually super good at the game. She can see the combinations of, if there's a pair or if there's not a pair and you have to get one of the other colors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The first game we played, I think it was pretty close. I only beat her by a couple cards.
Yeah.
And now, granted, she's not old enough to play the game because it says 14 and above. But we watched. She didn't cut herself or anything, and my wife played and everything.
So I'm
but
guessing you're not playing hardcore mode where you grab the opponent's hand and try to stab them with the plastic creatures.
No, we're not doing that. We're grabbing the little spiky things as quickly as we can. And sometimes there's a tie where I'll grab one and she'll grab one, and one of the matches or whatever. But yeah, so it was a fun little game, and my wife she really liked it. And she was like, this could be like another Happy Salmon where it's a silly little game and you're just being goofy. So Anyway, Spiky Dastards, you've heard us talk about it before on the show, or you've heard.
You should take it. You should take it to Recon and have a hardcore game.
I may take it to Recon because it's new and because it's simple, and I mean, you can learn how to play in a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
That mode is now against the rules. Like it.
Yeah. Hardcore mode should be against the rules, Amy.
So were you guys literally grabbing people's wrists and slamming their hands down on them?
Play it like you're trying to win with gamers, but don't play it where you say no rules whatsoever, because that is not good.
Yeah.
There should be rules. Violence is not the answer. Anyway.
No. Well, unless you're playing Throw Burrito. Then you chunk that thing.
At a baby?
Did you ever watch their video? Did you ever watch their video?
No.
It's a minute. It's a little over a minute long. It's hilarious. Even if you're not going to get the game, the video is worth watching because I think it's just one of those where it's funny. And if I do get the game, I will make a video of me throwing it at my 1-year-old daughter, which she'll be 2 at that time, so it won't be as bad. And here's the crazy thing. She'll probably get up and throw it back harder at me than I threw it at her. My youngest is mean, and I love her, but she is tough. Like I'm scared of her. Now, my oldest, she would get really upset, and she'd be like, Dad, why did you do that? I'm your princess. And my youngest would be like, what'd you do, punk? I will cut you when you're sleeping. You will be a burrito. And so we'll see. We'll see. But anyway.
Dude, last week
was such a
blur. Did I already talk about Battlestar Galactica?
No, you did not talk about BSG. Yeah, you know me.
So, I got a chance to play the Battlestar Galactica Starship Battles game with Samuel Healy. We played the learning game version, so it just showed you like how to like move the ships around and like attack each other, stuff like that. We didn't do any of like the upgrades with different pilots and different weapons and things like that. This is very much like a X-Wing miniature sort of thing, but it has like this whole like kinetic energy sort of thing where your ship can continue to move and you can turn your ship like sideways, so you can be like flying one direction but have your ship point in another direction. You can like spin your ship like 360 and be shooting backwards as you're flying backwards. So that's what Starbucks
does. Yeah,
it feels more fluid as you play the game and do different things. It was a super interesting game, and it'll be interesting to see how the game plays with more stuff. One of the things that I really love about the game is like the miniatures in it look amazing. Like just like the Viper ships and stuff, like they come pre-painted and they just look really cool. But the way the whole game works is, X-Wing has these templates that you put out. These, you have a deck of cards that have different movements on it, and they're hexes. It's really weird. So they're like hexes, and you'll play down the hex in front of it, and it could like move your ship all sorts of different ways. It could just move you straight. It could do turns. It could do turns all the way back around, banking around. Like you can move these things super sharp. And there's also different special abilities on some of the hexes that allow you to like move multiple times or allow you to turn your ship like whatever direction you want. But you also have this dial on your thing where you can choose which direction you want your ship to be facing if you choose to turn it around. You also have to choose the speed you're going, because each of these hexes will have multiple paths on it. So you pick the speed based off the path you want to go. You're also limited by how fast you're going already. Like you can't do a super slow move if you're already going really fast. And you can't do a super fast move if you're already going slow. So you kind of have to like build it up, kind of like shifting up and down a little bit. But it's super cool. I really enjoyed it. One of the things that I didn't necessarily enjoy about the game is you just roll d6s to do damage, which is fine. It's like you roll 2 d6s to try to hit a number. Very, I guess, HeroClix like. Okay, I'm trying to hit your defense, trying to get a 6 or whatever. But after you hit someone, you'll just draw a token out of this token pool. And you'll draw the tokens and say, like the Vipers had 14 hit points and the Raiders had 16 hit points. You draw these tokens and they'll have numbers on them. So you don't know how much damage you're actually taking, and you'll actually keep that secret from your opponent. And once you've taken enough damage to be destroyed, you flip them all over and be like, okay, I died. So it's kind of interesting because I don't know how I necessarily feel about the way the damage works in this game, because there are numbers all the way from 6 to 0. And some of the numbers also have pluses on them. So whenever you draw a plus number, you draw another token out of this thing. So you could get anywhere from 12 damage by drawing a 6 and then drawing another 6, or get 0. Which is really, really swingy. And to compound that, there are like 8 or 10 like 0 tokens. So I can shoot you and do like 10 damage to you. You draw a 6 and then you draw a 4. Man, that's really rough. 10 damage. You shoot me, I take 0 damage. I shoot you, you take another 2 or 3 damage. You shoot me, I take 0 damage. Again, like that's rough. And the amount of zeros that are in there, like somebody could draw multiple zeros and just not get hit. So the randomness variant on how much damage you take, I was hoping that there's somewhere in the rules where you like thin that pool out a certain way depending on number of players or depending on something. Or maybe there's some cards that mitigate it after you're not playing the basic game. But man, it was crazy. Like I don't
know if I like that.
I that's the same way I felt. I was like, the fact that one player could take 12 damage in one hit and another player could just take 0 in one hit, just
even though you hit,
is gross.
Yeah, I think that would.
And we didn't realize that until like we were halfway through the game. And actually, the very first time I drew a 0, I was like, "There are zeros in here." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I think there's zeros in there." I'm like, "I don't like that there's zeros in there." Like I feel like if you hit, you should at least do something. Like ones maybe. But I didn't, just the broad spectrum of how high or low the damage could be. Because you can get hit, and you can get hit hard.
Yeah.
So, and maybe if there was like 1 or 2 zeros, that'd be fine. But the fact that there's like 8, holy smokes. So, I'm excited to play it again and try to figure out the game more. And maybe that gripe will like go away after I understand the game a little bit more. But I had fun playing it, and it was cool to. I literally just put my raider in the middle and just like spun around shooting up Sam's ships. I just had to guess the right direction he was going to be. I would just be like, raider turn this way, shoot, shoot, shoot. Raider turn this way, shoot, shoot, shoot. So it was a lot of fun.
Sweet.
But yeah, and that is Battlestar Galactica Starship Battles. Did you play anything else?
Just Spikey Dastards. And let me tell you, those little dastards, they are pretty spiky.
I had one more that I wanted to mention real quick. I don't know if you've ever played it, but Oni Tama. Have you played that game? It's actually one of the Dice Tower Essentials, but I had actually never played it before. Basically, this is a abstract game where you're trying to basically knock out your like opponent's sensei, sort of. Like you have like a character and then like 2 other characters beside it. And it's kind of like martial arts fighting. You have a card in front of you, they have a card in front of them, and then you have 2 cards in front of you, 2 cards in front of them, and then there's a card in the middle. And basically whenever you take an action, these cards will have several different ways that you can move on it. And it'll be like, oh, you can move this way, you can move that way, and it's just different ways you can move on a grid. You'll have your side and their side, and whenever you take one of these actions, it'll go to the middle, and you'll take the one from the middle. So basically, then your opponent will play one, and then they'll take the one that you just played, and the one they just played will go to the middle. So basically, whenever you play back and forth, you're going to be switching out the actual actions you can take. I played this before we went to Vegas with Jason, and the first time we played, like I beat him like super quick. And the second time we played, it was really close, but he backed me into a corner. And then we played a third time to be like, who's the best 2 out of 3? And then I wrecked him again. So I had a lot of fun with Oni Tama. And I think if you're looking for like a quick playing abstract game, it's a lot of fun.
What do they think of you beating Jason? Because like Jason was like their guy, and now you're winning some games.
Well, I mean, I guess it just depends on what kind of game we're playing.
And what does that say about me that I sometimes beat you? Could we like go down there and like wreck shop?
I mean, if you're talking about certain people. Dude, I played this war game against Tom today. We played it live. You can go back and watch it. It was just barely a game because it was such a landslide. And I was like, I don't want to say landslide, but the avalanche just came. Okay. Because it was bad. Like, the first round, I just like swept. And then the second round, I basically just won. So it was just like, okay, well, that was fun. But yeah, Oni Tama was fun. So if you're looking for a 2-player game, but yeah, Jason's pretty hard to beat in some games. It just depends on the game. And majority of them, he'll beat me if he's played the game before, and he normally has played them over and over again. Like we played Azul, and it was kind of close, but he had just played Azul so many times, I just couldn't compete. So, but it's good stuff.
Well, sweet.
You
ready to do this, man?
I'm ready to do this. Let's blitz through this thing. So today we're talking about top 10 combat in games. So we're definitely talking about different combat mechanisms and the games that we like that have those mechanisms. So I put mine in order. I think Rob's is kind of like he's just mentioning different ones. But I'm excited. I'm sure we're gonna have a ton of crossover because there's only so many combat mechanisms. But yeah.
Hold on 1 second.
I will put yours in a quick order.
I'll put mine in a quick order.
But yeah, so I really like. I mean, honestly, I think every single one of the games in my top 10 games of all time have some sort of combat in them. They're not all head-to-head games. Some are cooperative, but they still have some aspects of like fighting an opponent or working against a thing or struggling against a thing and trying to knock it out. I just really enjoy games where you're actually actively like fighting something. I don't know. So I think it's really cool to look at the different ways that people have made combat in games, to just like be able to play those games and have all sorts of different ways to be able to take out your opponent, whether that opponent be the board game itself, if it's a cooperative game, or whether it actually be where you're taking out an opponent like head to head on the field of battle sort of thing. But yeah, I guess I can start this thing.
Okay. I mean, I'm ready.
I will start with my number 10. My number 10 is a little bit more interesting of a combat mechanism, and that is like deck building card combo combat. Basically like you have in Legendary or in Star Realms. You have cards that come into your hand that are going to have different number values, and you throw them down to try to add up to the value that you need to beat. A lot of times it's like, okay, we're trying to take out the mastermind. I got to get to 10. So you're trying to deck build to get to the point to where you can play those cards out in the right combo to get a 10. Or Star Realms, they'll have a bunch of strongholds down. You're like, okay, I need to do damage to their life points. So I got to play this and this and this and take out that stronghold and then be able to go through and take out their life points. I think it's cool to do the whole deck building thing, build up your combat strength, and then be able to take out your opponents.
Sweet. That is a good one.
But yeah, that's my number 10. What's your number 10, Rob?
Again. My number 10 is dials and or predetermined movement or actions and stuff like that. That's one of the things that I liked about Rex, and I also liked about Rune Wars. You know, because there were things about it on Rune Wars that it bothered me with certain figures, like the big stone golems. But overall, I really liked. Am I going to predict this well to psych out my opponent? And am I really am I going to be able to prepare properly? And crap, did I choose the right number to be able to go first to execute this? Or can I not do the charge? And so that whole thing is now for naught because Roy charged me in first and stuff like that. And so I like that whole idea of.
I was thinking the same thing. Scythe uses that as well, Rob. The whole dials and
I've not played Scythe, Kent. I've not played Scythe.
You should just add it to the 30 games you're going to have to play at Recon. No, I'm just kidding.
Bro, I'm going to have to get at Recon when they open. I'm going to have to get there early. And I may get there that early anyway. But anyway, that's my number 10 is dials / predetermined moves and actions.
Nice. Love it.
Yeah, you do.
My number 9 is used in several different games. And these are just like static attack and defense values used in like Magic the Gathering or Hearthstone, like or even Ashes, you know, where it's like I have this attack, you have that defense, I'm going out there, whether it's dealing actual damage, which you put tokens on them, or you're trying to overcome that to be able to do it. It's just like my values versus their values. It's very like tactical because it's majority of the time it's about thinking about, do I want to attack here? Do I want to attack there? Do I have enough power to be able to get through to deal damage to them? I really enjoy that. I played a ton of Magic, and I've enjoyed Hearthstone, and Ashes is an awesome game. There's tons of games that use this sort of combat where it's just like numbers versus numbers, attack versus defense. And I like the static, tactical nature of trying to think where best to attack with this sort of combat.
Love it.
Nice.
My number 9 is I love when you're doing combat, and whether it's a card game or even a miniatures game, when you get to play that reaction, whether it's a spell or if you were charged at this, I get to play this card and I get to react to something like that. It's one of those things where like they're going to do something amazing and you can hold onto this card, and you've been holding on this card for X amount of turns because you knew they were going to try to do something, and now it's like, boom, gotcha. And so I really like the reaction spells or like reaction actions, like especially when I'm playing a Song of Ice and Fire, the miniatures game. There are plenty of things like, okay, you're going to try to attack me from the side, but I'm going to play this card that allows me to pivot or do this, or I'm going to play this thing that cancels your card's ability, or, name any major card game, whether it's Ashes or Magic the Gathering or Android Netrunner. There's always those reaction cards where, this is your plan, Wiz War, boom, screw you, I'm now going to do this. And so, yeah. I'm pretty excited. I love that type of stuff. It's annoying when it happens to you, but when you get to pull it off, it's like, gotcha. Bam.
It's even better when it's like a reaction of a reaction. They do something, or you do something, they react to it, but then you're like, but because you did that, I do this. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love that. Those weird combo things.
No, you're right.
Awesome. My number 8 are when in combat you're rolling dice to try to get a certain number of successes, like get a certain number of symbols or get like a certain number of successes, basically in like Arkham Horror or Mansions of Madness. You have a number you're trying to get of successes. You roll multiple dice. Each die could create a success, and you're trying to get those. I really enjoy that sort of combat in like Mansions of Madness, because you'll be like, oh, this thing happened and this tentacle thing happened, and you got to get like 3 successes. You have a value of dice that you actually get to roll based off of your stats. Then you roll those to be able to try to take down your opponent, and then you'll do probably damage equal to the number of successes or damage equal to your weapon value, whatever, depending on the thing. I really enjoy rolling dice and trying to get the correct symbols to be able to knock your opponent out.
Yeah.
That's my number 8.
My number 8 was already mentioned, and that's card combat, and numbers on card combat. Like, for example, Rex, when we talked about it earlier, whoever has the highest number is going to do something. Or when you are playing Ashes and you're able to pull off X amount of damage because your cards equal up to X. So I love when I'm playing a game. It doesn't just have to be a board game, but I love when I can kind of overwhelm you, and especially like when that overwhelming, or like when you're playing Summoner Wars and all of a sudden that guy just hits for like a ridiculous amount and you're able to play that card that like bumps him up. And so I'm a big fan of card combat, and number allocation and everything Roy said.
Cool. Well, my number 7 is I named this like deterministic combat with flipping a card. Basically, this is the mechanic that's used in like Cosmic Encounter and Blood Rage. You have a determined value of units. Okay, I have this many guys or in this monster, or I have these many ships with my ally ships added together, but both players are putting out a card that then is going to also modify that value. So it's very deterministic because you know what's going in there, but then you're both specifically choosing a strength of card to put out there to try to best your opponent. And you don't know what your opponent's card is, but you're hoping that yours is better than theirs to push you over that edge. I really enjoy that that sort of combat, and I think it served it well because both those games are extremely highly regarded. So yeah, deterministic card flipping combat.
Deterministic card flipping combat.
I think also this very much falls in line with Game of Thrones combat as well. It's very similar, I mean, you don't get the cards randomly. You have your house cards, but it's deterministic because you know what units you're going to have and what units they're going to have, but you're not sure what house card they're going to play. So you both put them face down. You both flip your house card. Oh, you add that to your number. Whoever has the highest, boom, done. Good stuff.
That's funny that you mentioned Game of Thrones because my number 7 goes. The whole reason it's on my list is because of that game, Game of Thrones. My number 7 is bluffing.
Oh yeah.
If you don't believe bluffing is a war mechanic, well, you don't play a lot of good war games. But I love that about Game of Thrones, where you are able to put your moves upside down. Nobody can see them. Am I doing this? Am I not doing this? What's going on? Like the mental psyche you're allowed to do with people. I absolutely, really, really love that. Trying to, and like even bluffing when I did that thing to Matt when we played Rex. And I asked him if he knew the name of my captain on my card, right? Now he had a really high card, but I was able to try to bluff him down, and it worked in my favor. And he still could have won the fight, but we would have tied or something. But still, the ability to be able to bluff somebody and get in somebody's head is well, I mean, that's half the battle is in the mind, if not more than half. So anyway, bluffing is my number 7.
Nice. Cool. My number 6 is probably, I don't know. I feel like this is one of the most common as far as like combat mechanisms go. But I still really like it. This also uses dice, and this is basically just a like you're trying to roll a die with numbers on it and get a value that's modified. You do this in like Twilight Imperium 4. You do it in D&D. Basically, it's like, okay, you have a number you're trying to get. You roll the dice and try to get it. But, of course, that's heavily modified. Okay, in Twilight Imperium, depending on the ships you have, that depends on the number you have to roll to hit. In D&D, depending on the items and weapons and skills you have, you roll a d20, and you're going to need different numbers, and you're also going to need that based off of their armor class. So it's like you're trying to roll a die, but you're also trying to get a specific number to be able to actually hit your opponent. I think it's cool, especially when like you're not just rolling a die. You're rolling a die that's the what you need to succeed is based off of a bunch of other factors and things that have been modified. Like, okay, well, maybe you got some tech cards upgraded. I mean, this is even like in Risk. Like, okay, you need like 5 or 6 to hit, that sort of thing. And some versions of Risk, you can even modify that. So it's good stuff. It's just basic roll dice, get the right numbers, you beat your opponent. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
My number. Exciting.
I may have something like that coming up. I'm not gonna like get all like happy, joy. You're stealing my thunder a little bit.
So. I know. We're just gonna be trumping on each other the whole time.
Yeah, just a little bit. My number 6 is actually resource management. What I mean by resource management, for me, a good classic example is Champions of Midgard. When you're going to fight those monsters and you need the boat, you need to make sure you have enough food with you to compensate for your soldiers. And then you need to make sure that if you flip over the card, it doesn't take away your food, because if you don't do it properly, you may lose the whole mission and you may lose all of your guys. And then I know also in Crystal Clans, if you're trying to play certain cards, you have to make sure you have the right resource management or you can't play certain cards. And so I'm a fan of when war games or even combat games take it a step further, where there are other things at play. You also see this in Axis and Allies, when you got to pay for certain things, and then you got to have certain things in place to be able to do certain things. Like you need those factories in Axis and Allies. You can't just build anything at any base or at any place. And so I like it when it makes it just a little bit, a little step further, where it makes it a little bit more deep, where you have something else you have to be able to manage. And so my number 6 is resource management. Like those games, like what is that other game where you have to spend? Is it Nexus Ops?
There's a ton of things. There's a ton of things where you can utilize specific resources to make your attacks better or make your combat work in different ways. There's a ton of good stuff that uses that.
Well, boom. All that good stuff is in my number 6.
Sweet. So when I was making this list, I was like, man, it's going to be hard to come up with 10. And then I just kept finding more and more things that were pushing stuff off. My number 5 was one that I'm like, when I thought of it, I'm like, dag, let me raise this up. Like, this is a really good one, and it pushed some stuff off the list. And that is bidding on abilities. Basically, you have deterministic values, but then you're like bidding on different abilities that are going to go out there. And I'm specifically talking about the combat in Rising Sun and Cry Havoc, where you have either coins or you have different units that you're putting out to bid on these different abilities to trigger that are going to affect the way the outcome of the combat is. I just think it's so awesome to try to it's very much like the bluffing thing that Rob was talking about before. You're trying to outthink your opponent, kind of bluff them like, am I going here? Am I going there? And then sometimes you just have that raw power of being like, I got all the coins. Where I'm just going to try to stop you on everything, It's cool to try to bid against those, and then bidding for those abilities to try to take out your opponent is a lot of fun. Because, hey, if you capture their guy before they can attack you, then they're not going to have enough strength to beat you.
Then it sucks.
Or you could just be the one clan and just like kill yourself every single time.
Yeah. That's a good one. My number 5 is going to seem kind of cheesy, and it's not always a part of the rules, but it is a part of like the unspoken rules in the game mechanic, and that is alliances. I love it when I look at somebody and I'm playing a game. Like, let's just take Risk, for example, right? I'm like, bro, I want to attack you. You don't attack me right now. I got plans elsewhere.
Yeah.
And like you make like that untold, like, not in the rule book alliance, like under the table, like, hey man, like not whenever, because I know he would disagree with this, but a lot of times when I play with He Who Shall Not Be Named, especially if we're playing with a lot of other people, him and I will just kind of give each other a look like, yeah, you good? Yeah, I'm good. And we'll just know, okay, we're not going to attack each other up front. Maybe for the win, like if it's for the game win, like, okay. But at first, we won't attack each other, type of a thing. And so it's that alliance. And you also see a lot of alliances in Game of Thrones. It's well, like, it's part of that bluffing mechanism. But like, hey, man, we're good. I'll let you use this. You do that. And then I know other games actually have alliances like Twilight Imperium, like Rex, like other things, or it's actual mechanic of the game. But still, I like it when it's not in the rules and it's not a mechanic. It's just like, I trust you.
I've done a bunch of alliances in Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea sometimes. I'm like, yo.
That's a perfect example. Yeah.
I know you need to build a tower on another continent. I need to build a tower on another continent. How about I take this space, you take that space, sort of thing. And there's one, like the last game I played, somebody else was playing the Lions. I'm like, hey, man, I know you want to come into the desert in the middle of my area. Listen, it's very dangerous for you to be in the middle of my area. But if you let me take this space, I'll let you take the desert. We just don't attack each other. We're good, which is good. And then the Lions were winning at the end of the game. And then at that point, I made an alliance with the bird people being like, yo, you get rid of the Lions on your continent. I'll get rid of the Lions on my continent, and we're good. And that's what we did.
Speaking of that game, did you get the playmat?
Oh, yeah. I've had the playmat. The playmat
that thing is huge.
Awesome.
That playmat is huge. My expansion on stuff just came in this week.
Yeah.
That thing is absolutely, I think it's the biggest playmat out there right now. It's 4 feet by, it's right under 3 feet. It's 48 by 34.
Yeah, it's giant.
I put it up to the Rising Sun, and because I think Rising Sun right now is my biggest playmat pre that. I mean, it's bigger than Champions and all this other, and the Wits and Wagers, of course. But man, that thing was just like absolutely massive. I'm excited. I was thinking about taking it to Recon, but I was like, I don't know the rules that well, and Roy's not there.
You'd be fine. Come on. I mean, totally.
I'm already committed to like 2 big games, and plus, if Kent Parker wants to play, I have to add at least an hour plus to whatever game I'm playing that he's playing in.
Are you trying to say Kent has analysis paralysis?
Oh, he does a little bit. For sure.
Pretty sure.
For sure. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, listen to our old podcast when we played at Recon with Rising Sun and/or what was that other one? Oh, Root, which I almost bought a copy of Root today. I saw somebody was selling, and I was like, nah, I have a bad taste in my mouth. Anyway, which one are we on?
What one are we on?
I just did my alliances. That was my number 5.
Nice.
Alliances.
My number 4 is kind of weird because I haven't seen it in many other games. But It's basically I'm thinking of Arkham Horror LCG. When you're trying to do successes for things, you have a number that you're trying to hit, but then you're drawing tokens out of a bag. I don't know. I think it's really interesting and cool. The way that the bag can be manipulated to have different numbers in it depending on the scenario and depending on what's going on. I would actually like to see more games utilize this sort of thing. It's kind of cool, especially if there was a way to set that up. I guess there's a lot of games that I guess it's very similar to sort of how like Gloomhaven does it, because Gloomhaven you like get extra damage and stuff like that. But yeah, I really enjoy the combat in Arkham Horror LCG. I think it's really interesting, the fact that they're just like, I'm trying to do this damage, I got to get to a certain thing, this is my skill, let me draw a token to see if I can push it over to win this, or just not lose, because most of them are negative. But yeah, good times. What about your number 4?
My number 4, it's kind of generic, but I don't care. And I love the mechanic of area control. I love where, like on Risk, and that's my primary source for this, I'm going to take over Australia. And then I'm a turtle, and I'm going to get those 2 extra guys every round. And while you guys are fighting it out over Asia and all this other stupid stuff, I'm just going to grow. I'm going to grow, and I'm going to grow where it's not so explosive where you're worried about, but it's just a subtle growth. It's like a teenager growing into an adult. And then when I become an adult, I'm going to kill everybody. I love area control where I get to take from you. Like, you're trying to hold this down? No, I'm going to come take it from you. I absolutely love that about area control. One is mine, one is yours. Let's fight to see who can have it all. And so is that really a mechanic? No, it's more like a game style, but I love what it brings on when I play an area control game. Because there are combat games where they're not necessarily area control. You're still going to get X every round. Right. Where area control, you get X based off of how much you control, and you get rewarded for the more you control. Right. And so I love that. I absolutely love that, where it's like, you know what, screw you, boom, I now own this, get out. So anyway, my number 4, area control, I think is a fantastic, fun mechanic if you're playing with the right people. Because some people can get their feelings hurt. And it's like, hey, man, why'd you attack me? Well, why'd you play this game? Because the whole point of the game is to attack you. Like, the game is not made for us not to attack. I'm not taking a turn to see if I can put one more guy in Honduras. No. I'm going to move Honduras up and attack anyway.
So,
sweet.
My number 3 is very similar to other ones I've said, but it's slightly different. This is another deterministic style of combat. For some reason, I like combat where I get to know, like, okay, they have this many units, I have that many units. This is what we have. But this also has a paper, rock, scissors mechanic, and I'm speaking, like, trying to talk about things like Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea, where it's like, okay, I have this, they have that, but depending on how this paper, rock, scissors effect goes out, that'll basically determine the victor. Okay, he has this much numbers, I have that much numbers, I add this and then add that. If he plays this card, he'll probably win. But if I play that card, I'll win. But he'll expect me to play that card, so I should play this card because he won't be expecting me to play that card as much as this card. And just trying to get into your opponent's head to win that paper, rock, scissors is a lot of fun, especially in those super close combats where it's like, it's definitely not like as simple as paper, rock, scissors. There's a lot of variables based off of like how many resources do they have, how many of this and that do they have, like what units do they have in combat, are they on a continent where they can bring people in. There's a ton of factors that go into play, especially since there's more than 3 cards. It's like paper, rock, scissors, lizard, Spock, dynamite, boom, galaxy, spaceship, I don't know. But it's a lot of fun, and it's definitely one of my favorite styles of combat from one of my favorite games of all time, Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea.
Boom.
Play that game, Rob. I know you just got the new stuff.
I need to. It's still in shrink. I need to open it up and take a look at it.
Just look at that island. It floats. Not really,
I know.
but kind
excited. And that's one thing, man, I'll say about Gamelin Games. I never have to worry about their stuff when I back it on Kickstarter. Like, they have their shipping and their communication down to a science where they already take into effect Chinese New Year and other things. Like, if you back a game by Gameland Games, if it says it's shipping to you in March of X year, you're going to get it in March. You may get it actually in February. I've actually gotten games earlier from them. Or you may get it like a week into April. But they are so on point for their stuff. So anyway, let me say goodnight to our good friend right now. And then my number 3. My number 3 I'm actually really, really excited for. And it's one of my favorite aspects of war games, army building. Mm-hmm. If you don't think that's a mechanic, you don't know. I don't think you really understand the games that require army building. Whether it's a card like Ashes, army building, deck building, the idea that I am going to build my army, and this is what I've chosen to fight against you. To me, that's half of the fun. Like when we played Rune Wars, making my combinations, adding the certain bonuses onto those players, adding another cavalry unit and getting rid of my Stone Golem or Song of Ice and Fire, putting the not the Hound, the Mountain that rides in there and getting rid of some other stuff. Like I absolutely love army building. And then especially if it pays off, especially if it works and like your army just like goes to town, because then it's like, okay, like not only did my army win, but like I came up with that idea. You remember that time when I crushed you? Yeah, I came up with that idea. So I love it. Big fan of army building.
I feel like these games that have army building in them, I spend more time doing army building definitely than I ever play the game, you know?
Yeah.
And it's
like
fun.
even Summoner Wars, like with especially I think after the Alliances pack where you can mix races and mix stuff like that. I know I did that some, but just the games where it allows combinations and it allows you to create said combinations. What was that one game that Fantasy Flight dropped? Battlelore. Yeah. Fantastic army building game too, where like you had so many points. Man, what's that big one that Colby's into and Tom's into? They have all the stuff. Heroescape. Man, I haven't played Heroescape in years. But that's another army building game where it's a lot of fun. Absolutely love army building.
That's down to that point where it's like, okay, I got most of the units I want, but I got like 5 points left. If I have 5, I could get this upgrade, or I could get this upgrade. Or what if I took these 2 upgrades? You just sit there for hours just figuring out which upgrade you want on this one unit.
Yeah. And you'll play with it and justify it in your head. I mean, remember when you and I went to that tournament and I was like, hey man, I think I can really pull this off if I get one more fire rune. Can I borrow this card from you? Because I didn't have enough cards. And you're like, sure. And I mean, anyway, just.
And then you rolled lots of fire runes, but then you just missed with all the attacks.
Every single one.
Makes no sense whatsoever.
And every single turn, I got to roll with him. Like, it was ridiculous. I missed on. I think I hit 1 time out of 10 plus rolls.
That's
and the
insane.
1 time I hit, it did like 1 damage.
It doesn't even make sense.
Nope, it doesn't. Nope. That was my day, and then I had to leave, and then I got to buy, and then I had to leave. So that was fun, and that's why Rune Wars is now dead to me. No,
no, probably didn't help. I'm sure.
I still have my army.
Oh man, I actually Atomic Empire sent me an email being like, "We're having a Rune Wars tournament."
And I got that today too.
I was like, "You're the only people having Rune Wars."
Yeah, I got that today too. Sweet. So anyway, that was my number 3, army building.
Nice.
I'm gonna go ahead and cheat. And I will tell you, my number 2 is centered around one game. That's it. I don't know of any other game that does it the way that this game does it. But I'll let you go. But that's my number 2. It's just
he's so excited about it. He has to tell me before I do mine. My number 2 is about a game that Rob just mentioned. But this is the combat mechanism in that, and that is dice with special powers. Basically, the way Battlelore works is you have to roll the dice to try to hit your opponent, but then there are certain symbols on those dice as well that trigger awesome special powers, and I really enjoy that. I think they also have this in like Descent and in Imperial Assault. Like you try to get those lightning bolts to trigger special powers.
Yep. They also have it in X-Wing.
Right. I really enjoy where you're trying to get the specific side and be like, okay, this triggers this power or that power, and you roll those dice to hit your opponent, but then also if you don't hit, then you get to trigger awesome things like making your opponent retreat or triggering a special ability that allows you to devour a guy or something crazy like that. I don't know. It's just really cool. I just love battle lore in general, and I feel like the combat in it's really cool, and that's why this is all the way up at my number 2. That's a game that I'd love to play again. Battle lore and dice with special powers on them.
That is a good one. That is a very good one. My number 2 is specifically on one game and one game only, and that is the draft. And what I mean by the fighting mechanic in the draft, when you play Blood Rage and you draft those cards to either... You're either going to go quest or you're going to be able to fight hardcore and ridiculous.
Yeah.
That was one of the first things that came to my mind, and the only reason it's not number 1 is because I can't think of another game that does it really well, right? But I love that. So to me, I think that's what makes Blood Rage so high on my list, right? Because Rising Sun's a really good game. It is. But I don't like Rising Sun nearly as much as I like Blood Rage. Right. And it's because of the draft. I don't know if I'm going to get wrecked. I don't know if I'm going to pick these cards or if somebody's going to hate draft me and take these cards because they know I want these cards. And then you have the war mechanism in there like Matt likes to do where you're going to draw cards that allow you to put more units out on the table faster. But Innis is not as good of a game. Don't even bring me Innis. I'm sorry about that.
You only get 3 cards to draft in Innis.
Yeah, and it's so repetitive. Innis would be better if they were to grow the draft in Innis. But after one round of Innis, you can pretty much say, okay, I know who has what. And that's what I love about Blood Rage is there are so many cards in each round where it's not okay. It's like 8. Good for you. It's like 8. And 4 people are trying to go through 8 cards, so everybody's going to see anyway. Innis to me doesn't compare. It's not the same. But I absolutely love Blood Rage's draft. Like I said, it would have been higher on my list if there were other good games out there that had a draft like that. I love that draft. I freaking love that draft. Like, I'll probably take Blood Rage with me to Recon. I don't know if I'll play it, but I just feel like if I'm going somewhere, I need to bring it. And I wish they had the new stuff out for Dice Tower Con because I'd bring it down for Dice Tower Con. Because now there's new monsters and new cards and stuff like that. I mean, come on. I will throw a burrito at you, Sir Sparkles. Sir Sparkles. I love it. Anyway, my number 2, drafting.
I gotta say, Adam's talking about Inish so much. But it's funny because our review of Inish was like, we're like, oh, the game's good. I mean, it's fine. But people were mad because we were saying exactly what you're saying. I still agree with you about the draft in Inish compared to Blood Rage. But
it doesn't compare.
But after I learned more about Inish and like Adam's saying, it's like, oh, it's like a chess match. 2 really good players at Inish, the game can just never end.
Yeah.
Like if everybody's really good, the game just doesn't end. And now it's no good. Anyway. Hey, let's do number 1. My number 1 is actually pretty much what you said for the very first thing you said for your number 10, and that is it's not the same as dials, but it's very similar to that. But bluffing and bidding with special powers in Dune and things like that, and Scythe, that sort of stuff, where you have a certain amount of resources, aka units, and you're using dials to determine how much you're going to bid on these different attacks. And there's dire consequences if you bid too much and you still lose. You're gonna lose whatever you put in there regardless. But if you end up being able to take out your opponent, it's very much like this thinky game of trying to see how far your opponent will take it and how much you'll lose. But I love bidding combat, and that's like my number 1 like combat mechanism, just because all the facets that can go into that and trying to outthink your opponent but not spend too much resources at the same time. And it's very deterministic as well, because you know how much they can bid and how much you can bid, and it's like, how are we gonna figure this thing out and who's gonna win this battle? And sometimes you just know, if I do this, I will win. I don't know why. I like combat in games where you can get to that point where you've solved it, and if you do it the right way, they can't stop you. I don't know. I think that's fun to get to that point. It's like, no, you don't win. It's not like, oh, you could get lucky and win. No. If I spend enough resources, if I do enough here, I win this combat.
Yeah, you like a surety. You like knowing if I do this.
I like the fact that it still stresses you out in a little bit. Majority of the time, it's just like, oh man, it's on that razor edge. If they do that specific thing, they could beat you. But like, how much am I going to risk to take it? And then you end up going way too far, and they don't do anything. You're just like, oh, I would have saved a lot of resources if I didn't go that hard. But I was assured to actually know that I was going to make it happen. But I don't know. I think it's interesting to be able to math those problems out. But yeah, that's my number one. Bidding with special powers like in Dune or Scythe and stuff like that.
Can you guess what my number one is?
Oh, man. See, yours have been kind of weird because I've been talking about mostly mechanisms. Yours is just like mechanisms in combat games, which is insane, the amount of variables that could be. Your very favorite. I don't know. Unless you just say rolling dice.
Yes. Dice chucking. It's the exact opposite of what your number one is.
Yep.
I love it. I love it. Where, for example, playing Risk Legacy with He Who Shall Not Be Named and a couple of other guys back in Arkansas before we moved over here, and we had one guy who had like this in fact, I think this happened to He Who Shall Not Be Named. Had this huge army, and I don't know if he had the big army or if he was the one fighting against big army. Big army of like 30 plus dudes trying to roll across the map. Their first trip, Roy, was against this one bitty little spot. Just a guy. He was right in the way. Just an army of one.
Yeah.
The guy rolled 6, like 10 plus times. You know how disheartening that is to you? You know how much that like eats your soul when like you just auto win and there's nothing you can do about it. I love that luck. I love that, it reminds me of like, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Zulu, but like that British Last Stand in the late 1800s when they fought against over 1 million Zulu men and there was 160 British, or it was under 200. There was less than 200 British soldiers held off an over 1 million man army of the Zulu because they had nowhere to go. Their base that they were actually supposed to retreat to just got blown up by that Zulu army. And so they're in this little outpost and they literally have nowhere to go. And so they fight with everything in them and they win. And it's not so much that they win. The Zulu could have won, but like on the third day, the Zulu started chanting like, you know what? We respect you so much for what you've done. We're going to leave you alone. We won't kill you. We're going to leave you alone. That's what I feel like dice chucking can be. Like, it doesn't matter what you do.
Unpredictability of it.
Right? It doesn't matter what you do, how many numbers you have, what you have prepared, what good stuff you've got going for you. You can chunk that dice and you still got a shot. And I think that's what I like about it is because you can't determine if I do this combo, I know I'm going to win. Right. It means like that guy who's not been paying attention, who really just has had a rough night, he can still come back and win that fight. And that's what I love about it. Like, everybody still has a chance. Now, statistically, you should not do all that. But anyway, it's I love it. Dice chucking will always be a top mechanic of mine when it comes to that kind of stuff. So, Zulu, man, that was such a good movie.
Yeah, I mean, a pile of mine are dice too, but
Yeah, I know. But I loved how ours are opposite. Our number ones are
that's definitely
legit opposites. Different. Yeah. So, anyway.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we both love combat games or combat in games. It's a lot of fun to see how the battles play out, whether it be versus great old ones or versus He Who Shall Not Be Named's army.
Yeah.
As they get crushed under the weight of Rob's too many 6 rolls.
No, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. I wasn't involved. I just remember watching and like so-and-so was getting mad and then the other so and so, because I can't remember if he was attacking or defending, but we were just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. Like, oh my goodness, like we were all getting hype. And of course, if you're that one guy, you're like so pissed. You're so mad because you're like, to lose half of your army when you're trying to take over like Asia, right?
Yeah.
You can't afford to do that and win.
Right.
So, anyway, I love it.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, this has been pretty fun. I think that worked out all together. Thanks to everybody in chat who gave a lot of interesting things for combat mechanisms that they like as well. Awesome stuff. I'm super stoked to hopefully see you guys. I guess it's going to be months away. Dice Tower Con is so far away.
It's in July. It's not that far away, though.
It's creeping up quick, though.
April, May, June, July. We're about 4 months away.
I am officially going to CMON Expo now, so if anybody's going to CMON, let me know.
I may see you there. I don't know. I don't
hit
know.
You up. You'll be there and be like, hey, thanks for the plastic, bye.
Pretty much. That box is just, I don't know if it's
There's a
worth
lot of stuff
10
in
hours.
that box.
There's a lot of stuff in that box. There's over 100 minis in that box. I don't know if there's
talk my
minis in
dad
that
into
box.
bringing, like, he has a bunch of coworkers he works with. I'm like, just tell them all to come, show them what they get just for coming, and just pick up the stuff, and then be like, whatever you want to do, you know?
Man, your dad, if like he had a bunch of like army guys with him, because I know he likes army games, he could make like a huge like game of Song of Ice and Fire. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, my dad likes Game of Thrones, but he's not like in love with Game of Thrones. I think he's watched the first few seasons or whatever. I'm like, if some of your coworkers like Game of Thrones, like you could have a Game of Thrones miniatures game like group if everybody goes to this con. They're all in Atlanta. So it's like
there's people posting like an 8-player game showdown of it.
Yeah, just show up and get a whole bunch of Lannisters and Starks. I mean,
yeah.
You literally can't.
And you don't have to play one-on-one. You can play as many people as you want, as long as you have the proper points. Yeah.
My dad's also been thinking a lot about getting into D&D stuff, and he was asking me about miniatures and stuff like that. I'm like, hey, if you need D&D miniatures, just get Game of Thrones miniatures. There's a ton of army dudes and all sorts of people you could have.
That's not a bad idea. You could use like some of the Starks or other people as guards and things like that.
Yeah, for your D&D game. I was like, it'd be super easy, you know? You have ladies and things like that because it comes with like a bunch of like Cersei and Sansa.
Well, it comes with a Cersei. Well, I don't know if Sansa and some of the other ones come
actually in the.
they were. I know they were part of the Kickstarter, but now you'd have to buy them as like a
standalone
Stark hero box.
Oh,
I think they only come with a couple of heroes in the standard base box.
Oh, that's cool though. Still,
but it still does come with women because I know it does come with Cersei, and then I know it comes with Catelyn Stark. I just don't know about Sansa. But the new hero Stark box now comes with Arya and a couple of other people.
Nice.
And so I'm excited. We'll see. I may go. But can we get you? We were talking about it in chat. What do you think about the end of the year? Because you're not in retail anymore, sir. End of the year, what if we did some type of cabin con?
I don't know, man. It's all about my schedule.
You're not moving this time. You're not moving this time. You need to talk to your boss. Put in for it now. You know, it could happen.
Wait, it's like 13 hours. I'm gonna fly to Cabin Con.
Adam's flying to Cabin Con. Adam flew to the last Cabin Con.
Nice.
And when he came there, he did a certain thing for you that I don't know if we can talk about it yet.
Oh yeah.
And other people showed up for you. Other people were there.
Makes me so sad that.
So now you should make it up to them. Now that you have all these 3D printers and you're just rolling in the
plastic.
I don't want to. Rolling in the plastic and just come on up, man.
Nice.
Or are you too big for us now?
I'm not.
Do we need to tell Kenny to get you a ticket for Cabin Con?
I'm just really far away.
Okay, I see how it is.
Yeah, I wish I could be there for Recon, but that's like next week. So good times.
Nope, Adam Marlo would not love that. But anyway. But good times. I'm excited. I'm excited for Recon. Not this weekend, everybody, but March 30th. Go check out Recon. It's in Kernersville. It's a great space and it's a great time. I will be there. I will be playing with Slenderman himself, Kent Parker, in a couple games. But I also want to play games with you guys. Unless you're just really weird and you want to play Unicorn Glitter Luck, which I won't play. But yeah, she does miss you though, Adam. She really does. But come out. I'm excited to play games with everybody and just hang out. And then Dice Tower Con. I am going to Dice Tower Con. It's gonna be a good time, and we're gonna go from there as well. So
hype.
Awesome,
guys. Well, thanks everybody so much for tuning in. We stream these Tuesday night at 9 p.m. At youtube.com/Epic Gaming Night. We also want to say thanks so much to all of our amazing patrons for helping support the show and helping keep this thing going. And also check us out on Twitter and Instagram, seeing what we're posting and talking about, seeing what's going on, what games we're playing and such. And hope everybody has a good one.
You guys are amazing. We love you guys. Seriously, I would not be here if it wasn't for you guys. Have a wonderful night, and we appreciate you guys. Go forth and prosper. Whatever they say, do it.
Whatever they say in the Star Wars.
Not Star Trek, sir.
I know. I was trying to make
that was Star Trek, sir. So
it worked.
Oh, also speaking of the EGN RPG, sir, in April I won't be able to do it because that's the Battle for Winterfell. I'm just going to be completely honest. I will not be on the show that night because I will be watching the largest cinematic combat battle in history. Currently held, I believe, by Helm's Deep, is now going to be beat by the Battle for Winterfell. I'm going to watch it, and then I'm going to turn around and watch it right back. So, yeah, April 26th. Sorry, Adam. We could do it the week earlier, the next week, but that Sunday, that's a no bueno for me, sir.
Awesome.
And also, that's the weekend that Avengers Endgame comes out. I'm already seeing it twice on opening day, and that's also the weekend that Days Gone, the PlayStation game, comes out. Like that weekend, the weekend of the 26th. It's
just the weekend of epicness.
Like I'm taking off of all of my closings in April are pre that weekend because I already know. Like I've already told clients, look, guys, I'm not going to be available that weekend. I haven't told them why, but I'm just like, I'm not going to be available that weekend, so we need to close earlier. Like
I think Tom said that Avengers Endgame is like a work requirement. Like you're required to go see it for work.
We may do that for work as well. Now that I'm the new owner of the company, and boss,
listen, you can't work for this company and not go see Avengers Endgame. I'm sorry.
No, we have done that in the past.
Part of your work.
We have gone and like done some fun stuff in the past. So we'll see. I don't know if my mom will be into Avengers Endgame because she'll be like,
you gotta fire her.
Nope. Nope. But anyway, good stuff.
Okie doke. We'll see you next time. Bye.
See you guys. Peace.